Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. And welcome again to the Poetry News with me and Arson. How's it going, Arson? You well?
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, going well, thanks. We totally don't record two shows at once. But yeah,
No.
how's it going? I've got my hat, got my giraffe. Yeah, good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm wearing the same shirt I wore last week, but
Well, it's amazing how long clothes stay fresh for in these modern times, isn't it? So
yeah, we'll go with that. That's what it is.
absolutely. Yeah, all good. So we have a great show coming up for you today. Again, in our new testing out little format that we're trying. So again, let us know what you think of this new format below. Do you prefer it? We'd love to know. So we have loads coming up this week, but we start with a very important issue addressed through poetry, specifically in America and specifically Poetry X Hunger. This is an initiative set up by the poet Hiram LaRue, who is the retired director of international programs at the USDA National Institute for Food and Agriculture. Quoting from the website, it says, "It's an informal initiative focused on intentionally inspiring poetry that addresses the cause of preventing and eliminating hunger. The overall approach is to augment the traditionally cited tragic hunger stats with heartfelt, powerful poetry as an innovative way of reaching the public and policy decision makers." As well as the open poetry submissions, it also raises awareness of searching and finding your local food banks, which unfortunately these days is a plural. Submissions are free, they're open all year round, and open to any previously unpublished poems about hunger. And they do ask you as well, if you can, to include an audio or video recording of presenting one or more of your poems. So whether you want to donate, whether you want to submit, whether you want to do both, head over, if you're interested, to poetryxhunger.com. Arsen, what do you think about this? What do you think about using poetry to help alleviate world hunger?
I think that's awesome. I'm all about being able to use your gifts and skills to bring awareness and voice to things that don't have voices normally, especially famine and hunger. Something that's so important for people to know about. And I know that a lot of people already do a lot for it, but it's still something that's just continuously increasing in problem. Especially after this pandemic, it's increased a lot. I personally know people who are homeless who used to be professionals and now are just trying to make their ends meet any way possible. So to have this kind of platform and use it to bring awareness is always an important thing.
Well, it's so true, isn't it? And it's like, sounds like similar things happening in America as to they are in the UK. You know, it's like, I mean, obviously this isn't just about professionals, but as the example, a professional earning a full-time wage shouldn't be in food poverty. There is something very wrong with wage structures if that's what's happening, and that's somebody who is earning a full-time wage. That's not even considering all the people that aren't doing that, people that are having to work 2, 3, 4, however many jobs just to kind of scratch by. You know, we're certainly in the UK, we're also in an energy price crisis where bills are just going up and up. It's like more and more people are trying to help with the problem, but the problem is getting worse faster than people can help with it. So anything that can be done to alleviate that, of course, is a great thing. I'd say one, I know this is the poetry news, but I am quite passionate about this. One stat about the UK that is incredibly damning is that around 2010, there were fewer than 100 food banks in the UK. You know, I'd never even heard of a food bank really around then. And shortly before the pandemic started, that had gone up from less than 100 to over 2,000 in
Wow.
10 years. And I don't know what it's like in America, but I imagine it's similar or worse.
It's definitely similar. Although we've had in this area in particular, I can speak about we've had food banks for a while. Um, Unfortunately, the area that is in the area of Jersey that I live around, this particular city is a college town, so you can imagine that a lot of people have been facing this adversity for a long time, just trying to make ends meet. Sometimes their funds get cut off or whatever it is. So people have been aware of it, but it has definitely increased more. I have noticed that there's a lot more relief efforts going on to different shelters I didn't even know existed until recently. And it's crazy. And I'm noticing it's because of surge of rent prices. Our rent prices are absolutely absurd. The gas prices, just like in general, like a person who is making technically above average salary actually goes home below the poverty line sometimes with their take home money that they put in their pocket. It's like, it's just crazy. It's just so crazy to me. And I'm also quite passionate about it. Statistically, I could be better informed, but I can tell you just by observation in itself, there's been like quadruple the amount at least of new banks just within the last 5 years that I've seen.
Well, I mean, like statistics tell one story, but I think observation in many ways tells a more powerful story because the statistics are always a bit behind. They're always trying to catch up. And, I think really admire this initiative. Really admire this initiative that they're trying to do. And even if it only makes a small impact, that's still a small positive impact that it's making. And who knows, with the right publicity, the right the right poem submitted to it, whatever, the right people it gets to, it could make a really big difference. And so absolutely admire anything that is trying to help with this world crisis and to help try and do something about it.
I agree. It definitely, if there's one less thing to worry about in this world, we are better off, right? That's the dream right there.
Absolutely. We can always use poetry to push for a better world, and poetry will never cease to do that. That's one of the things we love about it, right? So if you're interested in this wonderful initiative, please head over to poetryxhunger.com, and links to everything are below. And we will be back right after this.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I have for you a dream. We were talking about dreams, right? So I have for you a really cool workshop about dreams called Dream Poetry Workshop. Very aptly named. The event is organized by Marta Arley, and it is April 9th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And basically the description is as follows. Poetry is a wonderful art form for expressing dreams because it is by nature a surreal, evocative orientation to language. When our dreams call us into action, poetry can be an inspiring way to integrate them into our walking life. So poetry blends verbal and visual worlds. You can even say poetry itself gives you that dream, right? So poetry blends the verbal and visual worlds in a powerful process that is both therapeutic and creative. So we can weave these unique individual poems together, creating a piece that reflects the larger community voice from our collective dreams and unconscious. In this particular workshop, they explore the places between dream and waking. This is how it's described, translating messages and images from our dreams into poems. So they'll tap into your whole being to express the language of body, heart, senses, and soul through structured play to free ourselves creatively. They'll be using guided active imagination, writing sessions with focus prompts, and sharing around the circle. And finally, they're going to create a collaborative piece. So that seems way cool. It's only $40, and you can pay Marta by Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, or a credit card. And there's a Facebook event that should be somewhere over here. You'll see it. So that's just cool, honestly.
Well,
what do you think, Martin? Sorry.
Well, it is cool, isn't it? And I think it's like what were you saying? The space between the dreams and the real was it that it was advertised. And I think that's such an interesting space to be in because I know. So for like, I don't tend to remember the dreams I have. Like, to remember it, I have to write it down straight away as soon as I wake up. Otherwise, it just goes from my mind. Sometimes, as soon as I wake up, it's gone, even though it might be a really good dream at the time. But I think we bring poems out of our minds. Sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. Poems create these connections that spark things off. It takes you on often unexpected journeys, particularly kind of like early drafts of your poems and things like that. And they do almost become like dreams in some way. You write a poem maybe about something from the past or whatever, and it is accurate to that, but it's also accurate to your own perception of it. It's almost a bit like a dream, even if it's something like a dream for something better and it's something that you've had. It's very hard to bring dreams from the dream place to anything that kind of makes any sense. Like I used to keep a dream diary, and reading it back, even though I wrote the dream down, I've got no idea what it was about.
Right.
And perhaps, the idea of like these circles, these sharing sessions, these collaborative poems, you can almost train your brain to remember dreams in the same way that I know I've met people in the past who've told me about how they lucid dream, how they control their dream, how they do it by things like noticing how clocks don't tick in dreams or something. I don't know if that's true or not, because I've never been able to do it. I did once realize I was dreaming and I woke up, but that's as close as I ever got.
Yeah.
But this sounds like a great way to explore like an underused part of your mind when it comes to writing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And also like this particular workshop, I feel personally, like, of course we use metaphors in our poems to describe things, but I think I've always wanted to write more deeply metaphorically. So like to understand like why certain dreams, what symbols certain dreams, like, hold on, what certain things in your dream symbolize would be cool to know, so that you can like make your poetry as a whole more metaphoric and more like more symbolic, I guess, if you wanted to. I don't know. But I just think it's cool. I just want someone to be able to. I have this recurring dream where, okay, don't judge me. I might be bringing up my crazy, but I have this recurring dream where I'm a child and I'm in front of a bonfire, and I have this dream continuously. And I wish I knew what that meant. Like, why do I want to be sitting by? Is it because I lack comfort? What is it? So to have a dream workshop like this and being able to give it some kind of meaning would be kind of cool to know. So.
Oh, it absolutely would, wouldn't it? Because particularly, this. I mean, I've got no idea what that means, Arsen. I'd say if anyone does know what that means, you know what to do. Yeah, but it's that thing of you've got this desire to articulate it, to put it down, to make sense of it, and it's I never really considered the idea of bringing out the dreams like that. Maybe like I say, because for myself, I don't tend to remember my dreams even immediately afterwards, but this could almost train you to do that. For never even considered the idea of recurring dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, that's literally the only dream because it always happens, and it'll be at like random times. Like they say that your dreams are supposed to be like your subconscious coming to your conscious mind, right? And like in my head, I'm like, what am I thinking in my subconscious? I just want to know what's going on. And like, yeah, and then if I'm able to write it in a poem, which is how I always translate everything, and everything always makes sense to me once I write it down in a poem. That would be awesome. So yeah, definitely want to check out that workshop for sure.
It's a question for you, Arsen. Do you dream more when you've had a lot on your mind, or something new on your mind?
That's a good question. I feel like I dream pretty much every day. But I'm guilty of being like overthinker. Like I probably need to stop doing overthinking so much. So I do always have a lot on my mind. So maybe that is it. That I just always have something on my mind about thinking about something, reflecting on something like that. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. It's just, I'm aware of dreams more when I've had a lot on my mind, even though again I don't remember them. If
Mhm.
I've just, I don't know, had a day indoors in my rough clothes, sat in front of TV show I've watched before or whatever, but I'm not aware of dreaming. But some big new experience that happens, I'm very much aware of it. So I don't know.
Makes
Well,
sense.
the experts are in the workshop, right? So
Yeah. Let them tell us, or maybe you can let us know in the comments below what you guys think too.
yeah.
Because,
Hmm.
I've always found dream and dream analysis quite interesting to try and figure out. So, which, yeah, maybe I'm weird, but but yeah. So it's always cool to see workshops like this because it helps to get that out, and it's a great way to get across another. I also feel like this would be healing a lot because it helps people complete like their thoughts, complete what they're thinking. Maybe they go there and someone else has the same dream as them, and they're like, oh, and that person can tell you like, hey, you know what, this dream meant this to me, and then it's, oh, it makes sense. So I think that's really cool. It was really cool. Anyway, so thank you so much for sounding off on that, and I hope to see all of you guys at the dream workshop, and we'll be back right after this break. Hello, everybody. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. From that break, I have for you another very, very exciting open mic. It's a legendary one, I believe, in the UK called Fire and Dust. Yes. See, Martin knows. Martin knows. So Fire and Dust is actually doing a Fire and Dust Poets Zoom Around the World spoken poetry open mic. It is Thursday, April 14th, but I believe it is actually weekly. Thursday, April 14th at 7:30 UK time. It's a poetry open mic event that they like to do for people who can't come out actually physically in person to Cafe Morso in Coventry. And it's great for me because I'm all the way here in New Jersey and I definitely want to check it out. Everybody's welcome. Poets, performance poets, slammers, MCs, and anyone happy to listen to some poetry. All you gotta do is bring poems, partners, they say housemates, even your pets if you want to, and come in and just have a great time. And along with the Zoom of an open mic, they have a headline poet, and all headline poets are given an opportunity to receive payment from Fire and Dust as well. And they have a very exciting headliner this time named Faye Roberts. Faye Roberts is a performance poet, a musician, a storyteller, an events host. They even call themselves an accidental voice actor, artistic director for spoken word at PBH's Free Fringe. And this is their words, not mine. Enormous Greek geek, that's what they call themselves. So during the weekdays, Z persuades people to make lists and say no to shiny things. Well, why would you say no to shiny things, Faye? I would like to know. I love saying they're so pretty. For every role, there is a different hat and a spreadsheet to match. Their first full collection, Spectral, is due out with Burning Eye in spring 2022. So that should be a very, very cool performance, and also a very, very cool open mic. Martin, I know you're excited. I would love to hear.
Oh, I love me a bit of Fire and Dust, especially when Faye Roberts is the feature artist. I've had the pleasure of knowing Faye for a few years now, kind of like not closely, but kind of going and sharing at events and bumping into each other at, say, like Glastonbury Festival or something like that. Faye is a delight and a pleasure to be around. I'm sure Faye's second book is amazing. Faye's first book, The Cell Key, is fantastic as well. So you can get yourself down to Fire and Dust and get two for the price of, well, two, because support poets, because we're all skinned. But also, Fire and Dust itself, great event, really came to prominence through the pandemic by going online. I think of Fire and Dust it has a bit of a Nuyorican and Poets Cafe vibe to it, but in a kind of British sense. So many people want to get on the mic, and it's actually really quite hard to get on. You have to enter into this sort of ballot to get on the open mic, and you're generally successful around sort of 1 in 3, just because so many people want to perform. And that's not to off-put people. It just shows how popular the event is, and popular events are generally really good like that. But also, Fire and Dust, it's part of a wider organization called Here Comes Everyone. And this organization, they do an curated anthology of poetry twice a year on various themes. Like I think the recent one was like the Green Edition. They've also got a list of upcoming poetry events on their website, and there's online poetry events on there pretty much every day. There's other stuff as well. They do things like book reviews and things like that, and it's just really accessible and really awesome. And Rafe, the main guy behind it, is an absolute delight as well. So if you're watching Fire and Dust, feel free to quote that or not. I'm just being honest about how much I like your event. So yes.
That's awesome. So there you go. You have a first-hand testament. That is awesome. So and you also heard it's popular. So please go ahead and jump on that Eventbrite link that's somewhere over here, somewhere down here, somewhere. You'll find it. And try to get yourself a spot. And yeah, we'll see you there. That is all I have for you for this segment. And we will be right back after this break.
Welcome back, everyone. So we have a really interesting article. Well, we think so anyway. And it's in the UK-based Guardian newspaper and some other newspapers as well. And it's called Obscure Poetry Collection Sales Soar After TikToker Dreams About It. And this is about TikToker Amani. His real name, Marnie Webb. And Amani posted a video on the 31st of December and it's essentially called Who Claims to Be Psychic, and was asked by a man, is the fifth window open? And this got Amani to Google about the fifth window, which brought Amani to an obscure poetry collection published in 2000 called The Fifth Window by poet Russell Thornton. And they ended up getting talking. Russell had a couple of copies left of this collection from back in 2000, sent Amani one of the copies. And essentially this just went really, really viral. It's been viewed at the time of this recording over 3 million times, according to this article. And what this has meant is that the publisher of this book, Thornton's publisher, Thistledown Press, have ordered a significant number of reprints of this book that was released in 2000 and was essentially got to the point where it was only available from certain libraries in the local area. And it's now come to the point where sales of this book have essentially started to go viral as a result of this TikTok, this book that's over 20 years old. And I guess it's a really interesting to us for a couple of reasons. Like, one, because you never know when something you write is going to take off, even if it's more than, say, 2 decades later. And also the idea that this psychic just essentially just imagined it, and where did this come from in this dream or in this vision or whatever it turned out to be. So really interested, Arson, to know what you think about this.
I think it's so interesting and cool that she saw this, but what really gets me is her question when she says, now explain to me, why is a book about the psychic world and the real world meeting in the reserves request section like super locked up tight? That's weird, that's suspicious. She's like kind of like giving this like implication that there's more to it. Like if I heard someone say that and say to me, I'm a psychic and I saw a vision about this book, I would be piqued. I get like people are interested in reading this book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so cool. I also think it's really cool that this book exists. I actually want to read it. I'm curious to see what it's about. Yeah, I wish a psychic would look would see my book. That'd be great.
Well, the thing is, Arson, this could happen to your book. Arsen's book is awesome, by the way. You should totally get a copy. But it's like, what, you released your book last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by that logic, in 2043, your book will go viral. And good things come to those who wait. But I think but I think in all seriousness, this is really this really bizarre combination of stars aligning. And I'm sure the writer of this book, I'm just double checking the name, Russell Thornton, had probably just essentially forgotten all about it, probably hadn't even seen a copy of this book for years.
Right.
It's just amazing how things can just appear like this. Now, I've got to give full disclosure here. I personally don't believe in psychics. I'm not going to. I'm not going to talk down to it just because I personally don't believe it. One, doesn't mean it's real, and two, doesn't mean it brings a lot of value to a lot of people. So if you're into it, if you believe it, absolutely power to you. I'm not going to knock that at all. But I would say there is definitely a case of stars aligning here, and however this was imagined, just to Google it and find it through whatever means. And the Googling must have been quite specific to actually find it if the book was so obscure in the first place. And so, something has definitely happened here. But at the end of the day, just let this be an encouragement to anyone with a book that you never know when it's going to affect someone or how it's going to affect them. And so if you're wondering whether to write it, because even if it's 20 years later, who knows?
Martin's right. I mean, I actually believe in psychics. Not like I wouldn't like swear by them, but I do believe in them lightly. Like if a psychic told me, "Hey, don't take a risk on a business thing that I was really interested in," I'd probably still take the risk. And then if they were like, "It's gonna fail," and it failed, I'd be like, "Damn it, they were right," like sort of thing. But but like I do think that there's something called universal signs, and like for her to stumble across so specifically that obscure book is obviously a sign, and then to have it all over the internet, that shows everything about what we've been talking about with dreams. Like dreams can come true. Dreams are never give up on your own. And I know I sound like some kind of cliche needlework pillow right now, but like, but it's true, right? Like it's happening right in front of us, and you see it, and it's nice to have this kind of hopeful and uplifting story in such a like dark period of time that we're going through right now, right?
No, I think this is exactly like you say, Arsene. It's positive and uplifting, and this is the sort of story where everybody involved is uplifted and gains as a result of it. And I don't just mean in terms of views and sales and things like that. I just mean it in the sense of, it's a really positive story about psychics that gets away from that trope of that kind of stage hypnotist kind of thing, which I know is like a different thing, but kind of was inundated on British TV on a Saturday night back in the 80s and 90s and whatever. It's psychics bring a lot of value to a lot of people, and power to them. It's positive for Russell Thornton because Russell, this has probably made Russell really happy. And the book sales as well. It's good for the publisher. It's good for the other people that have been influenced by reading Russell's book and getting good things from it. It's good for all of these other poets who have books. Me and Arsene both have books that I'm sure we'd love to sell more, even though this isn't an advert. It's good for everyone. People wanting to create other things, albums or anything. It's one of those stories where everybody gains from it, and I really appreciate that. So I'd say thank you, Amani, for your vision.
And that's all we had for you today. If you had anything you would like to add to this conversation, I hope you liked what we were talking about. And if you had anything to add, we would love to hear from you, as always, in the comments, in our Facebook socials, and the likes, the tweets, all the hearts, everything. Martin, tell them about it.
We put our hearts into it. We like your hearts as well. We love to know what you think. This is a conversation we want to have with you as well as between ourselves. And so you can check out all of our shows, all of our content by going to Facebook at Poetry Global Network or Instagram, TikTok as the PGN Official. And I would tell you about the YouTube, but as you're watching this on YouTube, you probably already know that one. So absolutely. We love making the show, and we love all the interactions we have with you. So power to you, power to your poetry. We're here every Tuesday, 7 p.m. London, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. You ready? Sorry.
Ready.
Awesome.